It's Mr. Cleveland, by the way. Thank you. The evolution of the underground. Not Marky. Shout out to Not Marky.
Today I want to talk about the evolution of the underground in the past 5 years, starting from 2021 all the way till today. We're going to go year by year highlighting what general sound, artists, and projects were popular during those times, and find out how exactly we got to where we got to today. But before I begin, I just want to say I tried my best to highlight things that I can find year by year. Obviously with the underground being so broad, there's going to be things here and there that I missed out on, so feel free to add on to all of this information in the comments below as well. But let's start with 2021. 2021 was an amazing year for Plug and Beat. When I think of 2021, my mind instantly goes to Nothing More, Nothing Less by Summers. This album kind of has the sound I think of when I think of 2021. It's a very melodic, very pretty sound, very melodic leads, and I think the general sound could be very well encapsulated by One Way by Autumn. I feel like One Way is a song that describes what I mean perfectly. Plug and Be was a generally pretty bright sound. Che dropped Agenda, which is a very unique track that to this day gets so much recognition. Also is very similar to the Plug and Be vibe, but throughout 2021, notes of what I consider OG rage rap kind of started showing themselves and kind of started seeping through. Although it is still a very melodic time, people like Can brought a lot more heavy synth into the scene. Songs like Woke Up started going viral on TikTok.
Focus on what? Yeah, you see what I'm saying, drop.
Therefore popularizing the sound a little bit more. One of my favorite projects from 2022 is also Project X by Can Carson. I feel like Project X embodies the sound of where 2021 was overall very well, because the whole album is very melodic and very clean, but at the same time very synthy and very catchy. So What specifically being one of my absolute favorites on this album. He also dropped
Ooh, that's a legendary song by Kid Carson. What? That's a legendary fucking song, dog. Damn, that song legendary.
4L and Up To Me, which lean heavily into the OG rage sound. You got lots of dirty, raw synth loops, and obviously the bell. Sorry About That was one of the first introductions that many people had to Yeet, and Sorry About That on its own matches the OG rage sound description very well. Very raw synth chord progressions, and yeah, just the most rage vibe you can think of. Also, Tana and Slump Success dropped Antisocial.
You know, I would say that the 2021 Underground class, I would say that was the last, like, to me, was the last, that was the last era of uniqueness and difference, like, variety. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it was a lot of different sounds, a lot of different people. Fast forward now, I know he's gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna go and say it now. It's way less originality, diversity. It's either you this or you that. It's either you with the aesthetic or you ain't, and you're an outsider. That's what it feels like now. You know
and that track went absolutely crazy because both of them were so young at the time, and the track was very hard. And even Trippie Redd, although he's obviously not underground, fully embraced the synthiness of this era with Trip at Night. Trip at Night as a project overall describes the OG rage sound so well, which leads me to 2022. 2022 is the year when the OG rage sound is in full motion. The very raw form of the original rage sound, as we know it. Buzzing raw synths, repetitive progressions, melodic leads, all of that encapsulated in 2022. Yeet drops 2 Alive and the Deluxe, an album just packed with absolute hits, and every song on that album got so many streams and went on to just be a classic. And it really put Yeet into a cultural spotlight. Can Carson drops X and Extended, also fully embracing the rage sound, with Freestyle 2 absolutely launching that sound into the mainstream on TikTok and exposing Ken Carson to a lot more eyes. 2022 overall was a great year for Opium. That was before being Opium was considered corny. Every Opium appearance and project was regarded very highly, and it was a great time to be an Opium fan.
Oh yeah. Pop out.
Destroy Lonely dropped No Stylist and No Stylist Ultra. To this day, a project with absolutely zero skips. And this project brought a lot of variety because on one hand, it embraced the synthiness and stuff like that with songs like Veteran,
Let's
but
talk
also
about
expanded
it.
on
That
this
nigga
album
Long
with
him, bro. Y'all remember at one point this time they was like Long gonna be the next Cardi. He gonna be better than Cardi. He like he gonna be mainstream. He gonna be better than Cardi. Like he got the most potential. Like he better. He just better there. Like he just him. Like he's like niggas was like. I mean, don't get the game. Nigga hard though. But like I just remember the time when like niggas was like, yeah, Lone, he finna be better than all these niggas, bro. Like he just sold him. Like it's finna
A
be
beautiful
him up
sample
there.
on Crystal Castle, and embracing the guitar melodies more on his beats. And with people embracing the rock and punk influence even more, Homicide Gang absolutely delivered on that with Homicide Lifestyle in 2022, with many songs based on guitars, whether electric or even acoustic. Opium was on an
I
insane
ain't hear
run.
nothing about Fago yet, so
Hardrock was also one of the artists that very well
actually,
embraced.
yeah, we didn't hear nothing about Fago. I feel like Fago, because Fago, this is around time. It was like it's gonna be Yeet and Fago. That they both going mainstream. That's for sure. That's what it was like. Back in 2021, it was like, yep, it's gonna be so Fago. It's gonna be Yeet. These gonna be the two
Embrace that
pillars.
rock
Two
influence with his
two
EP
guys.
Slatty Dawn and with Feel Alive going absolutely crazy.
Cause I feel like a lot of people was looking at it like Opium, Kid Carson still only gonna really go mainstream. Well, they was saying they was saying low key, but like I feel like they was saying like since they under Cardi, you ain't gonna be able to surpass him. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna be stuck. I don't know how to explain it, but the niggas definitely kept it growing.
Rock influence with his EP Slatty Dawn and with Feel Alive going absolutely crazy. Which leads me to 2023. And the very, very raw form of OG Rage with all this sin is slowly getting taken over by bass. And it felt like Osama-san and Ken Carson were pushing that bass envelope the most and were really pushing the speaker destroying distorted bass into the scene. The year started off with Ken Carson dropping I Need You in early 2023 and then later dropping a legendary project called A Great Chaos, which at the time of this recording has just hit 2 billion streams on Spotify. And when I say bass was taking over, I mean it was taking over. But at the same time, CTSV and XXX by Osama-san started going viral, and Osama-san gets his first shine through Osama season. At the time, he had to deal with a lot of Ken clone allegations, but in late 2023 with Flex Music and the deluxe he drops later on in 2024, Osama-san solidified his place in the underground and defined his sound as a more chaotic, distorted version of Rage, and showed it off more clearly. Both absolutely amazing and great projects that made 2023 what it was. However, the jerk scene within the underground was also on the rise too, with people like Netspin, Xavier So Bass, Fresh Boy Swag, Yapo JJ being some of the artists at the forefront of the wave. Netspin specifically gained a lot of buzz with Shine in Peace, We Not Like You, Drink. Wake Up featuring Osama-san, and most importantly his 2024 freestyle, which actually dropped in 2023, hence why it's included in this year. But back then, listening to Netspin was considered a thing that only people with trained ears could do. Yapo JJ has also entered the scene with tracks like Hurt My Feelings and 1-0, and it's at this point that the underground becomes more than just Plug and B and Rage, and it's slowly starting to develop out even more. Destroy Lonely drops his If Looks Could Kill album, and the deluxe, fully leaving into a guitar-heavy production, which most of the songs on this album have, while also at the same time embracing what was popular in the scene with tracks like Money and Sex, still embracing the Rage sound. Homicide Gang has also finally dropped Snot or Not. Prior to dropping the album, they had that one very viral Uzi Works snippet, which then also released on this album. And I still wish we got the extended intro on that. Che also drops a project called Closed Captions that includes tracks like Soul and Blueberry Backwood. This album combined trap and this new love for bass all into one project, which made it so much fun to listen to. Closer to the end of the year, 2 Hollis also drops Jeans, which combined EDM and Rage into one. This would be the start of what 2 Hollis will expand on in the future as well. Great year for the underground. Lots of different directions starting to take place. Outside of that in general, also a fantastic year. We got Pink Tape.
I think it really did mention Fago once.
But now with the underground going into all of these directions, we're moving on to 2024. And things are just going to keep getting crazier here. Netspend, Che, Osama-san, Rich Amiri, Protect, Pretty Fun, Laser Dim 700, Wally Santana, Xavier So Bass, all solidify themselves themselves more in the scene. Kid Carson became the face of this new bass distorted rage as Opium's most consistent artist with A Great Chaos, and later on dropping A Great Chaos Deluxe in July of 2024. He was touring all over the US with that project and going international with it. And during his Chaos tour, Two Hollis was the opener. And Two Hollis is a perfect bridge between EDM and rage. With singles like Trauma and Gold, Two Hollis was able to pave a new way for himself and a lot of artists to come to combine two genres in one in a way that sounds hard and has the crowds turned. At first it was a little rough for Two Hollis to open for Ken Carson, but as the tour went on, the crowd was loving it. I'll never forget how good we had it during that tour. Osama's son drops Flextra, which is just a deluxe from Flex Music, and drops now iconic singles like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Score It, and etc. Netspan drops an album called Badass Effing Kid. Jay drops Say So Says, that to this day is one of his most positively acclaimed projects. Say So Says was very diverse in sound, yet still embraced the distortion and rage as this kind of silver lining throughout the album. Because regardless of whatever sample and whatever loops he used, at the end of the day, it all still embraced what was popular. The underground and their artists are now at this point where many of them have a die-hard fan base that is waiting for new snippets, creates the vault and updates pages, and goes crazy for their tours and festival stops. Pretty Fun also expands within the scene, going from being a producer to now being an artist with projects like Pretty and Funhouse. Pretty brought a very melodic and
I thought Pretty Fun probably be more 2025,
beats
right?
and production being so bright and happy, as well as his cover art. Pretty Fun didn't try to be mysterious and dark. Instead, he embraced color and fun, and it fit him well, and it made him stand out so much. Netspan, Evil Gianni, Xavier So Bass dropped a collab called 40, which also went to be one of the soundtracks of 2024. And we can't talk about 2024 without mentioning the run that Ian went on when he took over the scene by storm. With tracks like Magic Johnson, Airbnb, Never Stop, Grand Slam. This insane run just needs to be studied. Ian in 2024 was something different. In December 2024, Nine Vicious dropped Studio Attic with songs like FNN, Tokyo, and Yay. 2025 was bound to be his year. 1AM dropped One Death, bringing back this cloud rap kind of vibe into the scene. Xavier So Bass drops With Two, Keep It Going, and Xavier So Bass just pushes the jerk sound further on into the scene, with songs like Need Me and Love Hate going viral all over the place. So at this point in time in the underground, we now have this really heavy distorted bass rage sound. We're having a little bit of cloud rap in there. We're having some bright rage sound, jerk, die-hard fan bases, crazy crowds. The underground is in a great place. And here we get to 2025. In 2025, we get two absolutely amazing projects from Osama Sun, Jump Out and Psychotic, both also followed by tours. And with these two projects, Osama Sun further pushes the envelope of industrial rage, leaning even more heavily into the bass. I would say Psychotic more than Jump Out, but Osama Sun embraces distortion. And it was not just Osama Sun.
I don't know how you niggas be. Like, I be hearing something, I'm like, no. That's too much beat. Can't do it. Ain't gonna lie.
Because Che also went on to drop Rest in Bass and Rest in Bass Encore, contributing to the development of distortion and very splashy delivery. I mean, it's even in the name. Rest in Bass. Most importantly, Ken Carson drops more Chaos, third album under the Chaos umbrella, hopefully the last one, which also sounds absolutely amazing during the Antagonist tour.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays because a city hotel is right for real.
But not quite right. Lucy Bedrock drops on Musique, which includes a lot of the distortion I mentioned, but also includes a lot of electronic sound and honestly has great variety. Lucy's sound fits very well with the general direction that Pretty Fun, Two Hollis, Ego Break, and other similar artists have kind of paved in the underground. And at this point, the underground is expanding in many ways beyond sonically, and underground no longer means rage. There's a lot of subsets to it. During 2025, Nine Vicious has seen insane growth, which makes sense because I think he dropped like 1 billion projects that year. Stuff like Before For Nothing, Tumblr Music, Before Tumblr Music. There's just so many. Nine Vicious's general sound relies on sampling, transition, melodic flows, but also does once in a while lean into the typical rage, the typical chaos. But the projects overall feel very balanced and very well put together. In late 2025, Slayer has also entered the scene with his extremely well-received album called Half-Blood that goes on to receive praise basically from every corner of the internet. Very bright project with variety of sounds, including rage, melodic rage, different sampling techniques.
Still fit into the aesthetic that we was talking about, but they don't like Slayer. Slayer is like the dude. He's an outsider. You know what I'm saying? He's an outsider. Now he's in a part of the, and like he's good, but I'm saying he's an outsider in the sense like when I say fit into the aesthetic, it's two sides. You either with the aesthetic or you ain't. Meaning like dark clothes, dreads, tattoos. I don't know, piercing dermals. You know what I'm talking about. Emo aesthetic, mysterious. Da da da. He's one of the guys who ain't mysterious. And what happens if you not fall into that group of people? You are outsider. And it's kind of like it's like you still get fanned, but it be like harder because like niggas be like I don't know. Like it's weird though. It's definitely weird. It's like it's harder for you because you're more of an outsider. Because you're not falling to the stage everybody else.
Calm stuff and etc. Just a lot of variety all in one. The UK underground also sees an insane rise during 2025 with artists like Fake Meek, SDK, okay, YT, and lots of others breaking into the scene and actually going way beyond into the mainstream. I mean, the rise of Fake Meek and SDK was so impressive. Xavier So Bass drops his Once More EP, pushing the jerk sound even further, with Worth It becoming another one of Xavier So Bass' classics. Xavier So Bass is arguably one of the most consistent artists that is able to push the sound further and also is just really freaking good at what he does. Two Hollis dropped Star, a mostly EDM project, but also includes a track called Sidekick that kind of encapsulates a similar sound to Trauma and Gold. Great variety, great projects, and also great transitions on that. When it comes to net spend in 2025, we only hear 2 tracks. The rest of his time is spent modeling and doing fashion.
What's your name? Where you from?
Net spend, I'm from Virginia.
Hey! BA is in the house, stop playing with him.
In 2025, artists like
he's
Two
modeling
Slime.
though. He getting that bag. That's a good bag, bro. You need to start getting that modeling. Shit, where you getting that? Shit, I dropped 2 projects. I mean 2 songs, 2 down. Oh, this nigga. We really gonna count this nigga as an artist, bro?
Me and Blood
we're really
take
gonna count
over
Two Slime
the
as
scene.
artists.
We thought Osama Sun and Che were pushing the limits of distortion. They take it to a whole new level, which has the general scene divided, with many people not being able to understand it, and with lots of others having ears trained enough to understand the vision and see where they're heading with it. Their music has been talked about a fair bit, and it's very interesting to see where they're gonna lead the scene next. And with 2025, the underground has now included many different sounds all under one umbrella. If the 2021 underground was really just plug and beat and rage slowly breaking into the scene, 2025 going into 2026 now had all kinds of stuff under the same umbrella. Which leads us to today. 2026. The underground is flourishing like never before, with so many creative directions, sounds, and projects on the way, and we're not even halfway through the year. And it's been so fun to watch and see what happens next. Now, with the festivals coming up, I wonder what the crowd at the festivals is going to be like. And that is a general path that the underground took over the past 5 years. Like I said, because the underground is so broad, it's so hard to encapsulate everything that has happened, and I would love for you guys to contribute to this list in the comments below.
Bro, you didn't mention Fago, my nigga. Is you crazy? Is you crazy? How you don't mention Fago? How? How you don't do that? Impossible, bro. Didn't mention Glock 40. Didn't mention J's. Didn't mention SSG Kobe. How you forget Glock though? Just one person you can't forget. It can't be Glock, my nigga. Shout out my boy Glock though. He did mention Glock, I ain't gonna lie. Isaiah TG, he didn't mention him either. You know, so many sub-genres for the sub-genre rage. It's amazing. When you talking about the UK underground, not mentioning Things is crazy. What about Lancey Foe? No J's mentioned for 2021. Hey, I was listening to this guy the other day. That boy, he on what though? No Fago? Tripping. You should start by 2018. 2025, 2026. Oh, Prada bag. Baby step. Oh, yeah. think he misses Owe. Owe artist good though. No Cash. He did mention Cash Diamond. Cool to see how far the grass scene. Or bro, you forgot what you made. That was Evolution. He missed Glock 40. When did Glock? What era was Glock 40? Was it? It was 2022. 2021, 2022. Yeah. Yeah. Yeet. Okay. Yeah, it's some good artists on there. He missed a couple though for sure. But nah, underground scene was definitely like I said. 2021 was like the best year. Loki. It was just the most diverse. It felt the most authentic. And then as time went on, it slowly kind of like that authenticity kind of driven away. It was more just the same old, same old. Like I said, you either fall in this category or you're an outsider. You fall into this aesthetic or you're an outsider. And yeah, the outsiders just be harder for them because most people just a part of the aesthetic. I don't know, bro. It sucks, but still, if you like, subscribe, catch the next video.